He's a wonderful friend. He's a grandfather. He's a disciple and devotee of Paramhansa Yogananda. And I would like to welcome Nayaswami Nitai today to share the inspirations with all of us. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I wanted to start I thought it'd be good to give a little bit of an overview of what Education for Life has developed over the years. So as Nitai mentioned, these ideas are based on the principles that Paramahansa Yogananda started in India back in 1917 in Ranchi, and they were brought to the West when Yogananda came to the West, and it took a while to get them established because, of course, the cultures are so radically different. So it had to be, the ideas had to be cultivated, or what's transformed, I guess you could say, to meet a Western situation. But it happened very simply in the beginning. When I had the opportunity, the blessing to start the first attempt, it was with 6 little children in an old agricultural building. It actually had been a chicken coop that was available for us. It was interesting. It was quite similar in a way to the school, the building that Yogananda started with in 1917. It was just an old outbuilding, and their first job was to pour some cement so they could have a concrete floor. And he had 7 students. And so, but as we find out in life, if you have persistence, if you just stay focused on a particular goal and don't let your energy get diluted, if you just stay focused, lots of things can happen. So now, 50 some years later, Education for Life does have a global scope. I'm currently have been living in India for the last 2.5 years up in Gurgaon, near New Delhi. On the invitation of the DLF Corporation Foundation to bring Education for Life into the schools that they support up there. They have 4 schools we're currently working with, and then there's another dozen or so that we'll work out with next year. These are all regular existing schools, just like you have in Mumbai, but they are open to have these ideas brought into with their children. Actually, they're more than open, they're enthusiastic, they want it to happen. And so with that kind of support, it's been wonderful to work with. We also have an online high school that's been going. The high school itself has been going about 25 years. The online part of it is about 5 years old now. And there are students from India in it, but also from Iran and Europe, United States, and then most recently from Afghanistan, which has been quite an interesting chapter because everybody knows what happened when the Taliban came in. Well, there are thousands, literally tens of thousands of young ladies in Afghanistan right now who are desperate to want to continue their education in some way. Many of them can't leave their houses without a male escort. So it's a very small physically life. But people have started to find out about the high school, online high school. And so we started with one girl about 2 years ago. And she just, I don't know how she found us, but she did. And we worked with her. She's an incredible person. And she graduated. And then last year, there were 6 more girls graduated. And then this year, it's like the floodgates are starting to open. There were 6 applications yesterday. And then when I looked at my emails this morning, there's 6 more applications. So we're trying to figure out how to respond to that and to help out in that area. There are other schools in Europe and USA that are specifically Education for Life schools. They were founded to be this with these principles in mind. Pretty much like what's happening here in Mumbai. It was just all it takes is it takes two people. It takes a dedicated parent and a dedicated teacher. And if those two roles are filled, good things will happen. It might take a while, but that's what we're happening. Like right now, we're seeing they're out there in their classroom, which is a veranda, and sometimes they're in here. But it's wonderful to watch. That's why I'm here this weekend, actually, is to support what the teacher, Niyati, and the other teachers are doing here. So, that gives you just a basically kind of these principles are universal in nature. They're not sectarian. They can work in any religion or no religion. One of my joys working with the Afghani girls, it's my first time working with Muslim students and seeing the same kind of response, the same kind of excitement and unfoldment that I've seen with children from other areas of life. So I'm going to start with a little song. I was reading a poem of Paramahansa Yogananda's many years ago now, and I was really appreciating the poem. And then right then, this little tune just came in on its own, and I thought, wow, that's strange. That doesn't usually happen. And then I looked at the words of the poem, and I thought, this kind of matches. And so this is what came out. Voice was made to sing thy glory, my ears were made to hear thy call, my eyes were made to see thy beauty shining through us all. My hands I give into thy service, my mind will learn thy truths alone. My soul I offer as a channel to guide thy children home. My voice was made to sing thy glory, my ears were made to hear thy call, my eyes were made to see thy beauty shining through us all. My hands I give into thy service, my mind will learn thy truths alone. My soul I offer as a channel to guide thy children home. Thank you. So, our topic today is not only about children. They have this frequently. People think, you're going to talk about children. Oh, well, I probably don't come because I'm not a parent and I'm not a teacher, so probably doesn't have anything for me. And I always say, no, I say these principles of education for life, they are for everyone. It's education for life, not necessarily education for 5-year-olds or 6-year-olds. And some of these basic principles, like the one today, is just as important for 50-year-olds as it is for 5-year-olds. It has to do with what is the difference between enthusiasm and excitement? What's the difference between enthusiasm and excitement? Anybody want to make an offer? You have to wait. You have to be second. She's the star pupil. I don't want to just always ask her. What's the difference between enthusiasm and excitement? Go ahead.
Excitement is maybe short-lived and directed towards a particular context, which may be fleeting, and whereas enthusiasm is maybe an attitude which is perennial and which is irrespective of the context or the situation.
Okay. So you just said that excitement is more fleeting and enthusiasm has a longer rhythm to it, a bigger perspective. What would you add?
Enthusiasm perhaps is more centered, is coming from inwardly, and may not come out like outwardly so physically, but like there is something one wants to do like that.
Okay.
And excitement would be like, as you said, short-lived
Uh-huh.
and just fades out.
Okay, so she said that enthusiasm has a more of an inner root or core, whereas excitement is more outwardly. Okay, that's good. Do you want to add anything, Niti?
It was excitement that I wanted to say. And then it was coming from enthusiasm and how can I respond to this particular answer. So I think I agree to what Nita mentioned. It's more inward and it's a feeling. It's always there, enthusiasm, and it's just that we need to tap into that, which comes out as an excitement when we are talking, sharing, something that we are aware of, and we want to share with everyone.
Okay. Okay, so enthusiasm has this inner dimension to it, that there's a calmness to it in some ways too, inner core. So this is a really important distinction to make. So we were in the same room here about 2 days ago, and we had a meeting like this, and the children were outside. We could probably reenact it at any time. This would probably happen. And we opened the doors, and the children came in, and one little boy started running around, and one boy saw him, and he started running around too, and the third boy, and all of a sudden, all three of them were running around, and they were so excited because now they were inside, and they're with their parents and everybody, and they're with their friends, and I knew that if somebody didn't step in, excitement was going to nosedive at some point. It would get out of hand. It would become chaotic, and somebody would start crying. Somebody would run into somebody, or something would happen. And it's the nature of that excitement. Now, for a little guy, they were 3 or 4 years old. They don't have the bandwidth to be able to think about those things. They're living in their feeling, and there's a beautiful part to that. But one of the basic things we want to do in education for life, maybe the basic thing, is help them to experience the difference of what happens when you lead your life by looking for excitement, or you lead your life by looking for deeper things like enthusiasm. The word enthusiasm is very interesting, and it's there's a fancy word linguistically. It's just derivation. It's derived from a Greek word, which is also related to Sanskrit, probably, but I'm not a student of it. But the Greek word is theos, enthusiasm, theos. And of course, theos means the divine, means a higher consciousness. Enthusiasm would be translated as filled with divine inspiration. And it's on that basis that we want to try to help children at a very early age tell the difference. I'm going to read you a quote by Yogananda that is kind of in my pole star for all these years. I came across it very early on, the first year or two, and I thought, whoa, what is I've never thought of that before. He said, if young people, before getting entangled in worldly life, experience the bliss of meditation, they're little likely to fall victim in later years to the ubiquitous sense delusions. So I'm going to read it again because it's an incredibly deep statement. If young people, before getting entangled in worldly life, experience the bliss of meditation, they are little likely to fall victim in later life to the ubiquitous sense delusions. Now, this sense delusions, that's a whole topic in itself. What is a sense delusion? How do we get sucked into it? It's whatever. It's just thinking that we're going to find our happiness through the senses, whether it's food or sleep or anything. It's like we think that by activating the senses activating the senses does produce excitement. And that's where the delusion comes in, because we think the excitement is what we're looking for. But what happens with excitement? It always peters out. There's always a down. For every up, there's a down. And you can go along kind of enjoying the ups and then putting up with the downs for a while. And, and you watch, there's a pattern kind of in, at least in the West, probably in the East here too, where when you're 20, 25 years old, you want to go out and party all the time. And you want to, you're always out going through things and stuff like that because it's exciting. But by the time most people, by the time they're 30, they're saying, this is getting a little old. I'm really kind of tired of the downers. There's got to be some other way to do this. And then, we go about our spiritual search. But what Yogananda is saying here is if children can get the difference at a young age, and I've seen it happen as early as 4 or 5. I remember this, one of the teachers that I worked with for 50 years now. Her name's Narani, and she's an amazing teacher. And she's specialized in working with 5, 6, 7-year-olds for 50 years. And her focus has been, she has a book called Supporting Your Child's Inner Life, which I highly recommend to anybody working with that age group. It's available on the ananda.org website. Actually, it's a free book if you want to look it up. But she had been working with her children, just helping them learn what it meant to be calm, what it meant to be in this state of inner contentment. And I was up visiting her classroom one day, and I was just standing outside. It was recess time, and one of her girls was sitting on a little bench, just very quietly, just kind of enjoying looking out. And one of the little boys came running up to her, and he says, I forget her name. We'll call her Susie. Susie, come on. We're having a lot of fun out here in the playground. Come on with us, come on. And she looked at him very calmly and says, I'd rather stay calm. And I thought, wow, what wisdom to have, that she could tell. She knew the difference. And she knew that what he was offering her, the excitement, he was definitely in the middle of the excitement, was not, she had something better. She had something that she preferred. And that's what I think Yogananda meant by this quote, that if young people can have that experience at that age, 4, 5, 6, hopefully before they're 15, 16, 17, when the senses really come in with a bang. But it's not impossible. I've worked with teenagers a lot in my life. Actually, most of my work has been with teenagers. And I found that they also, if they're still open to learn these lessons, they can get it. They can get it very nicely. I had this one girl, though, she transferred into our school at about the age of 15 from a very, very worldly lifestyle. She'd never heard anything about yoga. And so I'll see if I can demonstrate it here. I was saying, okay, we're going to do deep relaxation. So many of you have done this, where you just have the people lying on the floor, you tense their muscles, they relax, and just try to get a deep physical relaxation. So, but I had this technique that I was using at that time. I say, okay, I'm going to test you to see if you're really relaxed. And I'm going to come around and I'm going to pick up an arm, hand, or a leg and just drop it and see how relaxed you are. So I was going around and everybody was pretty relaxed. Well, this one girl, I picked her up her foot like this, and I dropped it and nothing happened. The foot stayed up in the air. And I said, are you relaxed? Oh, I'm completely relaxed. And she had no concept of what I meant to be relaxed. That was obvious. She just didn't know. It was a whole new experience for her. But you work with them and try to see what you can do. A related story about that same time. So I was introducing meditation to a group of pretty restless Western teenagers. And the technique I was using, I don't think we have a bell, no. But I'd say, okay, we're going to just try to be quiet and still. So we do relaxation exercises, and then we'd sit up straight. I said, now we're going to meditate for about 5 minutes. And every minute, I'm going to ring up this bell a little bit, ding-a-ling-a-ling. And if your mind is here at the point between the eyebrows, when I ring the bell, you get to count a point. And so you could have a maximum of 5 points if your mind is here all for the 5 minutes. And we're going to keep score. So they each had a personal scorecard that I would then hand out and say, okay, just write down the number of times your mind was there. And so, we'd start off 1, 2, 3. And at the end of 2 weeks, one of the students raised their hand and they said, Nitai, could you not ring the bell? And I said, why? He says, well, it's kind of distracting for my concentration. And I thought, oh, yeah, we made some progress. So it is possible to do these kind of things with children of all ages. It's essential that whoever's leading this, whether it's a parent or a teacher, have their own experience of what inner calmness means, what is that root experience of enthusiasm? What does it feel like? So let's just sit up straight for a moment. Inhale deeply, tense your body, and relax. Now try to feel that relaxation. But instead of going down into kind of subconsciousness and just kind of a sleepy state, we're going to try to take that we're going to try to relax upward, if that makes any sense. We're going to try to take that relaxation and follow the energy up to the point between the eyebrows and hold that relaxation there and let it permeate the body from that point. So you're focusing your mind at the point between the eyebrows. You can try to feel a sense of peace there, a sense of light, at least a sense of energy. And then keep that as the focal point, like the eye of the target. But from that point, let it permeate out through the rest of your body. Upward, outward, downward, all directions, but pulsating from that center. And feel that relaxation all through your body. And let's take that experience and visualize some project or some direction in life that you are drawn to at this point, you feel is the right direction for you. And try to visualize moving forward toward that goal, but carrying this feeling of calm, relaxed, focused attention and energy. And focus more on the energy than on any of the specifics. Just focus on carrying that calm energy, moving forward with it, pursuing, dealing with whatever challenges come up, whatever issues come up. The energy is the most important thing. The calm energy is more important than the specific challenges. And see that calm inner energy finding the right path to resolve any of these challenges that come up. And see that consciousness expanding, getting stronger. Okay, now inhale and relax. So as we talked in the very beginning, enthusiasm is carrying that inner vibration with you as you go through your life, whatever it is. There will be a pull. There is a pull to pull outwardly. In yogic terms, we talk about the 3 levels of energies: tamas, sattva, rajas, and sattva. So what we're talking about is you're going to come up against the energy of rajas, which is a helpful energy when you're trying to get out of tamas. Tamas is low energy, heavy energy. In education for life, we call it heavy energy. And it awakens energy. It gets things going. But it's excitement. It's based on excitement and rajasic energy. And it only goes so far. But we want to use that energy and move it upward. That's why I said relax upward. You want to use that energy and relax it into sattva, which is the root of enthusiasm, and carry that. With practice, no matter what age you are, if you're 5 or 50, you can learn that you learn to value that feeling of enthusiasm, that feeling of sattva, and you learn that you don't want to let go of that. You don't want something to rob you of that. You want to, no matter what situation you get into, stuff goes haywire. The project you're in collapses or explodes or something like that. It's possible to still go through it with that calm energy, and you'll be guided then. That energy it's a conscious force that we are working with. It's not that we're just regenerating ourselves. We're actually tuning into a higher consciousness. And through that attunement, we'll be guided. We'll be guided through to whatever direction is the best for us to move forward with. Everybody has their own individual journey with this, but the guiding light, the guiding force will be enthusiasm. Stay in touch with our own enthusiasm for life, and it'll be a wonderful journey. It's a principle, again, so that we can start with that with children. So children are all over the map. They're up, they're down, they're incredibly inspiring, they're incredibly difficult and challenging. They're just all over the place. I've recently been reintroduced to those early ages because I've spent a fair amount of time with my grandson, who just turned 6 over the last couple of months. And he reminded me all of these great things. He's just an incredibly inspiring little kid. And then the next moment, you're pulling your hair out because he's throwing a tantrum or whatever is going on. So on their own, they just bounce back and forth, up, down, around. So the role of the adult in their lives, either whether you're a parent or a teacher, is to be discerning and to observe. When are they in a state of excitement, rajas? When are they in a state of enthusiasm, sattva? I haven't seen a whole lot of 4-year-olds in a state of tamas, of just lethargy, unless they're really sick. They've got tons of energy, and it's more just this case of really guiding it. So one of the things I found most helpful is to create a frame, I call it. When they are in a state of inspiration, enthusiasm, it may not last that long, but if I become aware of it, and I can stop, and I can kind of take a little mental snapshot of it, and I want to share that snapshot with the child when it's appropriate. Usually to share it in a purposeful way, or a way that has lasting influence, they have to be a little calm at the time. They can't be just still excited. But if they're in a calm space, I can say, okay, do you see what happened this morning when you were playing with so-and-so, or you were playing with that truck or whatever like that? I saw a very special kind of energy. Could you feel it? What was it like? And I'll try to draw their memory back to it. What did you feel like when you were like, okay, one of the things I saw yesterday, one of the little girls was crying. And one of the boys just immediately, as soon as she started crying, he kind of came over like, oh, I'm so sorry. And he was just, he's 4 years old. He's trying to console this little girl. And he was in a state of enthusiasm and the sense of attunement with his own higher nature. And so I would try, if I were his teacher, I would try later that morning, I'd try to pull him aside and say, I was watching you when we'll call her Astrid. When Astrid was crying, And he said, do you remember that? And he's see if he can remember. Oh yeah, I remember. What did that feel like? How did you feel when you were reaching out to touch her and to console her? And try to get him to introspect to the point of he was his heart was open, his mind was focused, he was thinking about her needs, not his own. I might suggest a few words to try to keep him thinking and keep him moving that way, keep him aware of it. I might ask him it depends on the child, I might ask him to draw a picture of what he was feeling like, or ask him what colors kind of went with that feeling. But I'm trying to draw his awareness to that there was a special thing happening there, that he was the energy was coming through him, and I want to see if he can become aware of it. Now sometimes they can't. It's, it depends on which situation, but you try to draw their attention to it. And then it also helps if I can, if they do tune in, if they do, oh yeah, I do, I felt really good because my heart was open and I was truly, whatever, if I could see a response in him, the next step I would try to name it. I would probably try to put a name on it. I'd say, let's think of a name for that kind of energy. Let's think of a name. Maybe let's call it heart warmth, or let's call it like a little fire in the fireplace, or whatever he's used to seeing. Try to get him to help name it, so that it's not just my idea; it's his idea. What should we call that? What should we call that experience? Maybe we'll call it kind heart. Okay, kind heart. Okay, kind heart. You like that? Yeah, I like that. Okay, okay. Now, as a teacher or parent, in my mind, now I've got a little bookmark, kind heart. That he knows what I mean by it. I know what he means by it. So in the future, I can call on that and I can say, maybe he's not being that way. Maybe he just went by somebody and just pushed them out of the way. So I'll call him over, make sure he's calm. Say, remember that time, the kind heart time? Remember that time? What did that feel like? Do you remember what it felt like? Let's recall that, and let's think. Let's close our eyes. Let's go back to the kind heart moment. You'll feel that in your heart. Yeah. Okay, now, when you just were running over there by Timmy, did you feel that? Were you feeling that energy? Probably not. And I said, do you think it would be possible to carry that kind heart energy into that kind of a situation? And then we would talk about it, and we might even role play it. These level age of children love to role play. It's kind of like an instant rewind on your VCR, but you get to do it in real lifetime. So, okay, we're gonna role play this, and so there's three of us here. There's Timmy, the one that got pushed away. There's you, and there's me. Okay, so who do you want to be? And let him choose. Okay, I want to be so and so, and then I'll say, okay, I'll be this one, and then somebody else will call in to be the third person. Okay, let's go through what happened and see what happens this time, and go through it. And then I might even say, let's see if we can bring kind heart energy into this and see what happens with it. And so we go through it, and then everybody comments on what they saw. And that's maybe they want to do it again and change roles and change characters, but the whole idea is to see that there is a potential for bringing this higher energy, this enthusiastic energy into whatever situation that comes up. And but a lot of the ideas have to come from the child to make sure that he's participating, not just being lectured. If we're just lecturing them or telling them what to do, it won't have the effect we're asking for. But if it comes out their realization of, oh, I like this feeling, I remember it, I'd like to do it again. I'd like to see if we could do it here. Then it's a game changer. Then you're starting to build his own awareness of how to live, to use Yogananda's thing, how to live school. How to live with calmness, how to live with kindness, how to live with joy. All these things are potential. So it's a wonderful potential. Over the years, I've had many opportunities to see it happen and see it work, to see young people's lives changed, and to see them carry it on into their adult years. And makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in life. Okay, so I want to just leave time for questions or comments of anybody. Tell me, in your own experience, when did you learn the difference between excitement and enthusiasm? Under what conditions? Do you remember?
Pretty late in life.
It's what?
Pretty late in life.
Yeah, we didn't have a chance. I didn't go to an EFL school.
Yeah, because I think enthusiasm is worth the effort. You certainly should, if you see there's enthusiasm in oneself and you see someone enthusiastic, I think it's worth to put an effort to sustain it and take it further, as against an excitement which may not be worth the sustainability in that sense.
Yes.
When you're saying you find a child who has that enthusiasm, it should be pulled out and like nurtured and things should be taken hand.
Yeah.
But I think that understanding for me was just when we were born and brought up and stuff like that. I think these things were less discussed. So the awareness of these came a little later. So you do understand, but for me,
Yeah. It's the potential for this is vast, because you think if you had a whole country or a whole planet where everybody by the time they were 12 years old, they knew the difference between enthusiasm and excitement, this would be a whole different place. And with this approach to education that Yogananda launched, it has that potential. It has the potential to help these people have a whole different life. So, how about you? What is your experience?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about what he said, and I thought that if I go back, when I was 20 years old, if people asked me, what are you enthusiastic about? I would have a list of 20 things. Now I think that through sustained enthusiasm, I know that what I'm truly enthusiastic about is that inner willingness to commit to, certain inspirations or certain causes. And I think now I can define it much more honestly and much more deeply than maybe a few years earlier. Excitement, I think, happens almost every day now and then, and it's fleeting and it's temporary. Even if you see an insect, you might get excited. You might feel you are excited, but that's again not something that will sustain.
Yes.
So I'm just reflecting and putting together.
One of the phrases that Yogananda uses, he says, "Don't allow the robbers of restlessness to steal your inner peace." So, any other thoughts? Any comments? Yes.
Yeah, I feel that kids are always excited about something or the other, but we can always get them to the level of enthusiasm by explaining them or by nurturing them, just the way you said, like role play and all.
Yes. Yeah. It is very possible. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine if that was part of the lesson plan when you were in third grade. We haven't seen many of those so far. Do you have any thoughts to share?
I think it's time we have an EFL for like adults also. Because we missed out when we were children.
Yeah, nobody ever talked to me about those things. I don't remember a single time anybody talking to me in those terms until I got hold of Yogananda and started reading, his perspective on things. So, yeah, it would have made my life a whole lot easier if I had.
Nitai, I have a question, and I think I just felt on behalf of everybody, we would like to know that what would be the 1 or 2 steps immediately to start with to make our children enthusiastic? I mean, it's a process that I understand that you shared, but then 1 or 2 steps that you would like to recommend, that where should we start from?
Well, the first step is calmness. And that's why I encouraged you to look at Narani's book, because she's come up with a lot of different little activities, because she works with little tiny kids, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. And I'll give one example. Actually, it came from another teacher, but so this was where 3 and 4-year-olds, and she was trying to get them to have this experience of calmness. And it's hard with that age group, because they're all moving. And she would say, okay, sit down, lay down your back, and let's try to have a calm time, quiet time. And they'd be moving. and so she had the idea. She got some flat stones, and she came in, and she next time to try, you try and try again. She was trying the first time, didn't work. So she came back in and said, okay, today we're going to do it a little differently. And she put on some very peaceful music in the background. She says, now, just relax, calm down, stretch, tense. Okay. Now I'm going to come around and I'm going to put a little stone somewhere on your body. I might put it on your forehead. I might put it on your chin. I might put it on your chest or your hand. And we're going to see if you're calm enough so it doesn't fall off. And so she made it very tangible, made it very, it was something that it wasn't intellectual. It was something that had a physical root. And it was magic. Like all of a sudden the kids were completely still. Their goal was to not have that rock fall off. But in the process, they got calm. And then a couple of days, couple of weeks later, they didn't need the stones anymore because they knew what the calmness was. But you have to introduce them to the calmness and find a way to do it. And let's see. I can't think of it. Well, the thought that comes to me doesn't specifically, but this is one I just was talking with Narani recently about her newest inventions. And she showed me this game. It's about learning to relate to the other person's reality, learning, which we call another big goal in education for life. And she handed straws, and she said, okay, pair up. And each person puts their fingertip on the end of a straw, and your partner does that. And you have to see if you can keep the straw from falling down by paying attention to your partner and not just walking off. And so she's a master of finding various physical ways to teach these things. So there are many ways. You just have to kind of experiment and find your own that work with your own situation and your own children. And again, they won't always work the first time. You have to keep, but if your goal's in mind, if you have the goal, I want my children to learn to experience peace, and you don't give up, it'll work. You'll find something will come, and you'll find it. Okay.
So we at school and parents at home together, we have to do these exercises.
Yeah.
All of us, and we'll see how it is going to be working with all.
If you have a situation where the parents and the teacher work together on this, it is maybe the biggest blessing a child can have, because he's getting that support from both directions, and he'll get it. He'll get it. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we'll pause, and the children will come in, and they'll share their. You can see if it's excitement or enthusiasm, and so.
Thank you, Nitai.